Have you ever felt trapped inside a cage that no one else sees? No iron bars, no locks, but still trapped? As if every attempt to move forward is thwarted by an invisible force? If so, hold on tight. This cage exists, but it's not made of steel. It's made of fog. And fog, my friend, dissipates. Anxiety doesn't arrive like an alarm blaring loudly to warn you. It's more subtle, almost treacherous. It starts with a whisper in your head, a twinge in your chest, something you think you can ignore. But gradually, that whisper turns into a chorus, and that twinge transforms into a weight you carry without even noticing. Until one day, you look around and realize there are things you wanted to do but didn't, places you wanted to explore but avoided, words that died in your throat before they could escape. Days pass, and it seems like life is getting smaller, less colorful, less yours. And then comes that nagging question that won't go away. How do you break free? How do you take the reins when everything seems to be slipping through your fingers? If you ever felt like you're spinning your wheels while the world moves on without you, this video is for both of us. Let's face this thing called anxiety together, understand what it does to us, and most importantly, discover that the way out isn't as far as it seems. The key? It's always been with you, just waiting for the right moment to be used. The first shock, anxiety isn't just mental, it's physical. Imagine you're walking in the forest, and suddenly a branch snaps. Your body freezes. Your heart races. Your breath shortens. Your brain goes on high alert, ready to fight or flee. Now, what if I told you that anxiety does this all the time, but without any branches snapping? No lion, no real danger. Just your brain reacting as if it's a matter of life or death, even when the threat is just an unanswered message or a meeting on your calendar. Here's a detail for you to talk about. The more you avoid what scares you, the more your brain reinforces the idea that it's a threat. It's like every no you give to life, your mind notes, okay, this thing is really dangerous. Let's avoid it next time too. The result? Your world shrinks. Colors fade. Possibilities diminish. Until one day, you realize you're no longer in control of your choices. You're a hostage to what if? What have you been avoiding out of fear, thinking you're protecting yourself, but actually shrinking your world? Have you ever felt anxiety creep up on you like an unwanted guest, entering through the back door? It doesn't come screaming like a storm shaking the windows with howling winds and deafening thunder. No, it's more subtle, almost treacherous. Imagine a dense fog forming at dawn. First, you see a light veil covering the ground, but soon it swallows the trees, the paths, until you don't know where you are. That's how it settles in, a whisper in the mind, a shadow in the chest, until suddenly you realize you've lost control. Think of it like stepping into quicksand. You try to move, struggle to escape, but every effort seems to pull you deeper. The body, once dancing to the rhythm of life, now feels like a stranger. Your shoulders stiffen as if carrying sandbags. Your legs feel heavy as if the ground is made of lead. And even the simple act of opening your eyes in the morning becomes a battle. Have you ever looked at your phone, seen a simple message, "Hi, how are you?" and felt your heart race as if it were a threat? Or faced the idea of leaving the house like standing on the edge of a precipice? Small choices become mountains, and the peak is always shrouded in dark clouds. And the mind? It turns into a stage of chaos. As Lao Tzu, the wise sage of Taoism, said, "To the mind that is still, the whole universe surrenders." But in anxiety, tranquility is a distant dream. Imagine your head as a crystal clear lake. Now throw a stone right in the middle. The waves spread, the water turns murky, and you can no longer see the bottom. The present disappears. Thoughts spin like an out-of-control carousel. What if I mess everything up? What if I'm not good enough? What if the worst happens? It's a labyrinth with no exit, built brick by brick with doubts and fears that seem real, but are often just echoes of something that will never come. The body also joins this dark dance. Clara, a 32-year-old analyst, told me how she started feeling her stomach churn before every meeting at work. It was like I had swallowed a knot, she said. She thought it was just passing nervousness, but soon came the tightness in her chest, a pressure that felt like it was crushing her lungs, sweaty palms, and an exhaustion that couldn't be explained. I would lie down exhausted, but sleep wouldn't come. And when it did, my dreams were a loop of everything I wanted to forget. Sound familiar? This is the body screaming in the silent language of anxiety. Muscles that ache for no reason, breath that never feels enough, a weight that follows you like a shadow. Think of Jim Carrey, the actor everyone knows for his laughter. He has openly talked about how anxiety would trap him. I would get stuck in mental loops, imagining 1,000 disasters that never happened. My body felt like I was running from a lion, but it was just my mind creating the jungle. Even someone as seemingly lighthearted as him has felt this weight. And what about Buddha, who taught that suffering arises from the mind that clings? Anxiety binds us because we cling to these agitated thoughts as if they were the only truth. It's like being a bird in a cage without locks. Your wings are ready to fly, but you don't flap them. The fear of falling holds you back, and the longer you stay still, the more the fear grows. Carl Jung, the psychologist who delved into the depths of the soul, said, "What you resist persists." Anxiety paralyzes us because we resist it. We fight, flee, struggle, and then it becomes a cycle. The fear of acting keeps us stuck, and being stuck makes the fear seem even more real. But here's a glimmer of hope. This cage isn't made of steel. It's made of fog, of illusion, and it can dissipate. As in Taoism, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. The key is in your hands. In the courage to take a small step, breathe a little deeper, look at this fog and say, "You do not define me." It's not about conquering anxiety all at once, but about learning to walk through it, like crossing a river with a lantern in hand. 5-minute mindfulness challenge. Let's try something together. Tonight, before bed, set aside 5 minutes. Just 5, no pressure. Sit somewhere comfortable, maybe on your bed or in a chair. Close your eyes and take a deep breath. Feel the cool air entering your nose, filling your chest like a gentle wave that rises and falls. Listen to the sound of your breath. It might be a soft whisper or a subtle snore. It's okay if thoughts drift in like little boats. Just observe them and return to the breath. If your heart races or your mind screams, that's okay too. Breathe slowly again. If it's hard to stay still, wiggle your toes and feel the ground. The trick is to be present just for this moment. Afterward, let me know in the comments, how was this little pause? Did you feel the weight lift, even just a bit? Or was it a chaotic but enjoyable struggle? There's no right or wrong, just your moment. And if you want, tag a friend to do it with you. Building this bridge with someone creates a bond that anxiety can't easily break. Let's calm this turbulent lake, one breath at a time. The hidden mechanisms of anxiety that keep you trapped. Carl Jung said, "What you resist persists." And anxiety is a master at this. Imagine your mind as a movie projector. You're sitting in the theater, watching a film called Total Disaster. How everything can go wrong. And it plays on a loop. With each scene, you feel your heart tighten, your breath falter. But what if I told you this movie isn't real? It's just a script your mind wrote based on fear. Now, pay attention. You are the screenwriter. If you can create this horror film, you can also rewrite this story. And do you know what the first step is? Looking at the screen and realizing it's just a movie. Quick practice. Take a fear that holds you back. Something anxiety whispers in your ear all the time. It could be, "I will fail. They will laugh at me. I'm not good enough." Now, visualize this thought as text written on a piece of paper. Imagine crumpling that paper and throwing it into the fire. Write a new sentence. "I am more than these thoughts. I am the screenwriter, not the character." What mental movie plays in your head every day? What would happen if you changed the plot? Have you ever felt how anxiety is a silent artisan, weaving a web that you only notice when you're already entangled in it? It doesn't arrive with fanfare, beating drums, or setting off fireworks. It's more like a patient spider, spinning at invisible threads in the dark. A whisper disguised as normal concern, a tightness in the chest that seems like just a bad day. But gradually, these threads cross and tighten, and before you know it, you're trapped in a cocoon that makes no sense. This web is treacherous because it deceives. It convinces you that thinking 1,000 times before acting is caution, not paranoia. It makes you believe that imagining every possible disaster is being smart, not anxious. Better avoid this conversation, this place, this risk. It whispers, dress as prudence. And so, without realizing it, you start building walls. You think you're protecting yourself, but in reality, you're isolating yourself. Have you ever skipped a hangout because, what if I don't know what to say, or postpone a project because, what if I can't handle it? That's anxiety wrapping you up thread by thread. Think about Marin, a 28-year-old designer who loved creating but stopped showing her work. I would spend hours polishing every detail, imagining criticisms that never came, she told me. The fear of failure paralyzed her. Her hands trembled on the mouse, her heart pounded like a drum, and her portfolio gathered dust. Or remember Oprah Winfrey. She once said, "I was afraid of failing, but I realized that the real failure is not trying." Even someone as seemingly invincible as her has felt this web trying to hold her back. The fear of making a mistake paralyzes, and every step you don't take becomes another knot in the net. The mind loves this game. It creates a loop of what if that seems endless. What if I'm rejected? What if I embarrass myself? What if everything falls apart? It's like being lost in a dense fog. You want to find a way, but all you see are shadows and blurred outlines. Lao Tzu in Taoism said, "He who conquers others is strong. He who conquers himself is powerful." Anxiety keeps us trapped because it makes us fight against shadows. Shadows we create, but that seem like real monsters. And the body? It joins the dance like an eager student. Every time you avoid something that scares you, like a difficult call or a meeting, your brain registers, "Phew, we escaped." It feels like relief, but it's reinforcement. The next time, your heart races faster. Your breath shortens as if air is rationed. Your muscles tense like tight ropes. I know Peter, a 35-year-old who avoided public speaking. "Just thinking about the stage made me sweat," he said. Once, he skipped a presentation at work and felt that sweet relief. But the next day, just hearing meeting made his body tremble. It's the cycle of anxiety. We avoid, feel safe for a moment, and it comes back stronger, like a wave that gains strength as it recedes. Do you know what Buddha said? The mind is everything. What you think, you become. Anxiety turns us into prisoners of a jail without bars. There are no shackles, no locks, just a wave of fear that grows like moss on wet stone. Life shrinks. You stop taking risks, stop dreaming big, stop living outside the bubble. You end up in a safe zone where nothing hurts. But nothing grows either. It's like living in a small room with the windows closed, listening to the world outside, while the air inside gets heavier. But here's the twist. Every web can be unwoven. Every mechanism has an off button. As Carl Jung pointed out, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. Anxiety isn't the end of the road. It's just fog. And if you learn to see the threads, you can start cutting them one by one. You don't need a magical scissor, just a smarter look and a calmer breath. 7-day courage challenge. Let's dismantle this web together. For a week, choose one small thing that anxiety makes you avoid. It could be sending a message, speaking up, or even leaving the house without planning every step. Do it like this. On day 1, just observe the fear. Feel it in your body, your racing heart, your cold hands, and take 3 deep breaths before acting. It's okay if it's hard. If you freeze, stop, shake your arms like you're shooing away a mosquito, and try again. On day 2, take a step further. Say, "I can do this," softly, and go. Each day, increase the challenge a little. Imagine it like this. You're an explorer in a foggy forest. With each step, the air clears a bit, the ground becomes firmer. Write down how you feel in a little notebook or on your phone. The sweat, the relief, the pride. On the 7th day, let me know in the comments. Which thread did you cut? Which part of the web fell away? And invite a friend to join you on this journey. Sharing the path makes the fog less scary. Let's get through this, step by step, until the sun shines again. The way of the samurai. Using fear to your advantage. In feudal Japan, samurais had an interesting relationship with fear. Instead of running from it, They leaned into it when they felt afraid. How so? They understood that fear wasn't an enemy. It was a guide. And here's the secret. Anxiety is just energy. You can use it to run away or to move forward. Have you noticed that the same adrenaline from anxiety is the adrenaline you feel before something incredible? The butterflies in your stomach before speaking in public are the same as before a first date. The racing heart that freezes your hands is the same that beats strong before a victory. Your heartbeats don't know the difference between danger and excitement, but your mind does. What changes is the narrative you give it. Ninja challenge. The next time your body reacts with anxiety, do this. Instead of saying, "Oh my God, I'm anxious," say, "I am excited." Take a deep breath and think, "My body is giving me energy. I will use it." Take a small step toward what scares you. When was the last time anxiety could have been fuel, but you interpreted it as a break? Have you noticed how anxiety is a stealthy thief? It doesn't break down the door or make noise when it enters. It comes quietly, like a breeze that barely rustles the curtains and settles into the corners of your life. At first, you don't notice. You think it's just the weight of the day, a silly worry, fatigue that a good night's sleep will fix. But gradually, the signs appear, whispers that say, something is holding you back. Imagine your mind as a river flowing freely. Suddenly, pebbles start falling into the water. One here, another there. The flow becomes slower, more chaotic, until it turns into a tangle of currents that can't find an outlet. That's how anxiety works. It doesn't stop everything at once, but it congests your thoughts. Have you ever felt your head spinning nonstop? Like when you lie down to sleep? But instead of resting, you keep replaying the day, imagining conversations that never happened, or planning a future that doesn't yet exist. That's the river getting agitated, unable to find a calm lake to rest in. The body also sends messages, but in a soft voice. Think of Lucia, a 40-year-old teacher I noticed the other day. She told me, "I felt a tightness in my chest that came and went like someone pressing a button." She thought it was just her heart getting tired, but then came the shortness of breath. It felt like the air was never enough, and a pain in her shoulders that no stretching could cure. I woke up with a heavy body, as if I'd run a marathon in my sleep, she said with a laugh. But her eyes were pleading for help. Does this sound familiar? A fatigue that can't be explained, hands that sweat for no reason, or a stomach that churns before something important. And the fears, those are the silent sentinels of anxiety. There's a small fear, like rehearsing 1,000 times what to say, so you don't sound silly. There's a medium fear, like postponing a task because what if I'm not good enough? And there's the big one, the one that makes you avoid the new, the unknown, as if the world out there is a jungle full of traps. Remember Tom Hanks? He once confessed, "I was so afraid of making a mistake that sometimes I didn't even try. I was stuck in my head, imagining the worst." Even a guy who has faced shipwrecks on screen has felt this invisible chain. Life starts to shrink like clothes that have been in the dryer too long. Things that used to fill you with spark, a dinner with friends, a hobby, an aimless walk, lose their color. Responding to a high on WhatsApp becomes a war mission. Leaving the house feels like it requires a battle plan. I know Johnny, a 29-year-old who loved playing guitar for people. Suddenly, just thinking about someone listening to me made me freeze. The guitar gathered dust in the corner, he told me with a sigh that seemed to carry the weight of the world. Have you ever let something you love slip through your fingers like this? In Buddhism, they say, the mind is like a drunken monkey, jumping from branch to branch. Anxiety is that monkey, restless, noisy, pulling you away from yourself. Have you ever felt like Lao Tzu from Taoism, who said, "Stay in the center of the circle and let all things take their course"? But when anxiety grabs you, the center disappears, and you find yourself spinning on the edge, lost. Carl Jung also poked at this wound. What you do not confront within you will appear as destiny outside. These silent signs are destiny knocking at your door, asking to be seen. The world out there starts to feel too big, too demanding, and you retreat. But here's a truth that can turn the key. Anxiety is not a life sentence. These whispers, the weight, the fear, the exhaustion, are not weaknesses. They are muffled cries from your mind and body, asking for a breather, a chance to break free. As the poet Rumi said, the wound is the place where the light enters. The first step is simple. See it, name it, say out loud, I see you, anxiety. Because every prison, no matter how suffocating it seems, has a crack to escape through. 3-day listening challenge. Let's tune our ears to these signs. For 3 days, grab a notebook or use the Notes app on your phone. Day 1, write down a moment when you felt your body speaking. Your racing heart, your short breath, the weight on your shoulders. Feel it like tuning a radio to a station. Where does it hurt? How does it sound? It's okay if it's confusing, just describe it. Day 2, notice a thought that holds you back. I won't try, I'm not capable, and write down how it makes you feel. A knot in your stomach, a lump in your throat. If multiple thoughts come up, choose one and let the others float away. Day 3, note something you avoided. A yes that turned into a no, a task that got postponed, and write down why. Imagine you're a detective in your own soul, collecting clues in a quiet forest. Feel the paper under your fingers. Hear the sound of the pen scratching. See the words taking shape. If your mind races or your body complains, it's okay. Take a deep breath. Shake your hands like you're shaking off water and come back. At the end, let me know in the comments which sign surprised you, which whisper spoke the loudest. Tag a friend to do this with you. Together, the forest feels less dense. Let's illuminate these dark corners, one note at a time. Paths to break the anxiety cycle and regain control. The eagle's flight. Your world is bigger than your cage. And now, I want to tell you one last story. Imagine an eagle born in captivity. It grows up inside a cage, looking at the sky but never feeling the real wind. One day, the cage door opens, but instead of flying, it stays inside. Because the fear of falling is greater than the curiosity to fly. But the truth is, it was born to fly. And so were you. Anxiety may convince your mind that the world out there is dangerous, that it's better to stay in the safe zone, that avoiding the unknown is smarter. But that's not intelligence. It's just a habit. And every habit can be changed. The key has always been in your hand. The question is, will you use it? Final challenge, the eagle's leap. In the next 7 days, choose one thing that anxiety has been stopping you from doing and do it. It could be a conversation you've been putting off. It could be starting a new project. It could be simply leaving the house without planning every detail. And when fear strikes, remember, it's not a cage. It's just fog, and fog dissipates. At the end of the 7 days, let me know in the comments, what was the most beautiful flight you took? Anxiety is not the end. It can be the beginning. Let's turn this fire into strength. Have you ever felt how anxiety builds walls around you, brick by brick, without you even noticing? At first, it seems like protection, a wall to shield you from the wind, a shield against chaos. But then you look around and realize you're not safe, you're trapped. Life, once an open field full of trails, becomes a narrow labyrinth where every step feels risky. But what if I told you these walls aren't made of concrete? They're made of smoke, of illusion, and you can walk through them, not with a heroic leap, but with small, firm steps. Breaking the anxiety cycle isn't like knocking down a castle with one blow. It's more like dismantling a web, thread by thread, with patience and a keen eye. It's not about erasing fear in an instant. That would be like asking the wind to stop blowing. It's about learning to dance with it. As Lao Tzu said in Taoism, be like water, which makes its way through rocks and yet flows on. The first step doesn't need to be giant. It's just a breath, a choice, realizing that anxiety is a visitor, not the master of the house. Breathe, feel, embrace. Have you ever noticed how we fight anxiety like it's an armed enemy? Our heart races, and we clutch our chest to silence it. Our thoughts race, and we try to shout stop. But what if, instead of fighting, we just breathed? Think of Anna, a 35-year-old executive who lived rushing between meetings. I was always tense, as if the world would collapse if I stopped, she told me. One day, before a presentation, she tried something simple. She closed her eyes and breathed deeply for 2 minutes. It was like time slowed down. It didn't solve everything, but it gave me grounding. The air coming in, the chest rising, the present moment appearing simple yet powerful. Question the voice of anxiety. Not every thought is a fact. When anxiety whispers you will fail, have you ever asked, where's the proof of that? Or when your body tightens and says something is wrong, how about responding? It's just a signal, not a verdict. Eckhart Tolle, the mindfulness guru, says the power is in the now. Anxiety lives in the what if of the future, but the present is the only place where you can stand firm. Imagine your thoughts as clouds passing the blue sky. You don't need to grab each one. You can just let them float by. Take small steps, even if you're trembling. Anxiety feeds on avoidance. The more you avoid, the more it convinces you that the danger is real. I know Raphael, a 31-year-old who was terrified of calling anyone. I would imagine the silence on the other end, like a scene from a horror movie. He laughed. One day, he called a friend, sweaty palms, shaky voice, and guess what? It was just a silly conversation, but I felt like a giant. The secret isn't running a marathon. It's taking one step, responding to that dreaded email, saying yes to a coffee date, starting the task you've been putting off for weeks. Fear doesn't vanish, but it shrinks when you face it. Take care of your body to calm your mind. Have you noticed how the body mirrors the mind? If it's tense, anxiety celebrates. Think of Serena Williams. Yes, the amazing tennis player. She once said, "When I move, my mind breathes." Walking and feeling the ground under your feet, soaking up the sun and letting the light warm your skin. Go to bed early to give your brain a hug. These are bricks that build a solid foundation. Try stretching your arms right now. Feel your muscles relaxing, your blood flowing. Small gestures become anchors. The anxiety cycle is not an iron chain. It's a pattern, and every pattern can be broken. As Buddha taught, drop by drop the bucket fills. It's not about magic. It's about persistence. A breath, a question, a step. Carl Jung also said, "I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become." The key is in your hand, and turning it is simpler than it seems. It's choosing to be here, now, even with your heart racing. 5-day action challenge. Let's break down these walls together. For 5 days, try one path each day. Day 1. Breathe deeply for 3 minutes. Feel the cool air entering, your chest opening like a blossoming flower. If your mind wanders, that's okay. Come back to the breath. Day 2. Take an anxious thought and ask, is this true or just fear? Write the answer on paper. Feel the pen scratching. Day 3. Do something you've been avoiding. Something small, like sending a hi or tidying a drawer. If your body trembles, shake your hands and go. Day 4. Move your body. Dance in your living room. Walk and feel the wind. Listen to the sound of your steps. Day 5. Repeat what felt best and thank yourself out loud or in silence. Imagine you're a gardener clearing weeds. With each day, a weed is pulled and the ground becomes clearer. If you stumble or give up one day, it's okay. Shake off the dust and start again. At the end, let me know in the comments, which step gave you the most lightness? Which wall crumbled a bit? Tag a friend to join you in this garden. Sharing the work makes it bloom faster. Let's turn this key one choice at a time, transforming anxiety into strength, a new beginning. And what if anxiety, that beast you want to send far away, could become an ally? It sounds crazy, right? When it's suffocating you, with thoughts that weigh like stones and days that feel like an endless war, it's hard to imagine offering anything good. But what if, instead of fighting to extinguish it, you learn to listen to what it's trying to say? And what if, instead of running from it, you took the fire it ignites and use it to light your path? Think of anxiety as a wildfire out of control. You try to throw water on it, stomp it out, but the flames just dance higher, surrounding you. Now, imagine taking some kindling, making a circle of stones, and turning that fire into a place to keep warm. It's like that, raw energy, heat that can burn or propel. The racing heart that holds you back can become the drumbeat that drives you forward. The fear that grips you can become a wise teacher. As Lao Tzu said in Taoism, the void is the beginning of all things. Anxiety, with all its noise, can be the void that calls you to create something new. It starts with a different perspective. Instead of why do I feel this way, how about what is this showing me? Think of Carla, a 27-year-old photographer who lived with her head spinning. I thought my anxiety was a defect, like a manufacturing flaw, she told me. One day, she paused to listen. She realized that the butterflies in her stomach came before photographing in public, something she loved but avoided. It was fear, but also a desire to grow. She used it, started clicking at fairs with trembling hands, and today she makes a living from it. What scares you could be a sign of something you want but haven't yet embraced. Transforming is acting, even with a tight chest. Small challenges become the wind that pushes your wings. Have you heard of Adele? The singer who fills stadiums once said, "I get so nervous before going on stage that I almost throw up, but I use it to sing with everything I have." She doesn't wait for the fear to pass. She goes with it. You can too. Face a no that paralyzes you. Say something that's stuck in your throat. Take a step that seems too big. It doesn't have to be perfect, just yours. Each time you go, anxiety realizes it's not in charge anymore. Balance is key. Body and mind are like the strings of a guitar. If they're too loose or too tight, the sound won't come out right. Breathe deeply. Feel the ground under your feet. Move like you're shaking off dust. I know Tiago, a 42-year-old who became a marathon runner after years of being trapped by anxiety. "Running showed me that I could feel my heart racing and still make it to the finish line," he said with a sweaty smile. Walking and feeling the wind on your face. Writing down your thoughts to lighten the load on your mind. Sleeping with the window open to let fresh air in. These are threads that weave a new fabric for your life. In Buddhism, they say, pain is inevitable, suffering is optional. Anxiety is a pain. It comes, makes noise, creates chaos. But suffering, that's what you choose to carry. Carl Jung also hinted, the gold is in the shadows. The strength you seek is hidden in that place you avoid looking at. It doesn't define you. It's just a chapter, a draft, not the whole book. And every draft can gain new lines. As Rumi wrote, beyond right and wrong, there is a field. I will meet you there. Anxiety can be the bridge to that field if you choose to cross it. A new beginning isn't a lightning bolt from the sky. It's a seed you plant today, water tomorrow, and watch grow over time. The fear that held you back can become the impulse that lifts you up. Think of a bird leaving its cage. It doesn't fly perfectly right away, but it flaps its wings, tests the wind, and gradually gains the sky. You are that bird. The air is waiting. 7-day transformation challenge. Let's turn this fire into light together. For 7 days, try a way to channel your anxiety. Day 1, pause for 5 minutes and ask, what is this fear showing me? Feel your body respond. The heat rising, the chill descending, and write it down like you're drawing a map. Day 2, face a small fear, a call, a hesitant yes, and feel the pride afterward, even if it's tiny. Day 3, move your body, dance, run, reach for the sky, listen to your breath. Day 4, rewrite an anxious thought as strength. I can't becomes I will try. Day 5, go out and feel the world, the sun on your skin, the noise of the street, the smell of grass. Day 6, repeat what sparked you the most. Day 7, look at everything you've done and say out loud, I am more than this. Imagine you're molding clay. With each day, a new curve, a firmer piece. If fear screams or your body freezes, it's okay. Breathe deeply. Shake your shoulders like you're dispersing cloud, and keep going. At the end, let me know in the comments which day gave you wings. What did anxiety teach you this time? Tag a friend to mold this clay with you. Together, the fire becomes a beacon. Let's fly one flap at a time. The truth that sets you free. And so, what's the truth about anxiety? Is it really the villain keeping you trapped? Or is it just a mirror showing you something you haven't wanted to face? Throughout this journey, we dissected the invisible walls, the web's threads, the silent signs. We've seen how it paralyzes, deceives, whispers, but also how it can be crossed, dismantled, transformed. So, let's tie it all up with a simple but game-changing truth. Anxiety is not the end of your story. It's just a flame you can learn to hold. Think of Lucas, a 38-year-old who spent years thinking anxiety was an eternal chain. I live with a knot in my chest, as if the world would swallow me, he told me. But one day, tired of running, he stopped. He breathed deeply, faced a knot, and started running, not from something, but for himself. Today, he runs half marathons and says, anxiety still shows up, but now I invite it to training. The flame that burned has become the engine that drives him forward. And you? Have you thought about what you would do if you turned this weight into a step? Science gives a little push to this idea. Studies show that the brain is plastic. It changes, adapts. Every time you breathe deeply instead of running, face a fear instead of avoiding it, or embrace a thought instead of fighting it, you're recreating the paths inside your head. It's like opening new trails in a dense forest. At first, it's overgrown, but the more you pass, the firmer the ground becomes. Neuroscientist Rick Hansen says, the mind is like Velcro for bad experiences and Teflon for good ones. Anxiety sticks easily, but you can teach it to slip away. And philosophy, Lao Tzu in Taoism, said, when you realize nothing is lacking, the whole world belongs to you. Anxiety makes you think something is always missing. Time, courage, certainty. But what if what you already have, this breath, this body, this moment, is enough to begin? Buddha shed light. You only lose what you cling to. Letting go of control, of perfection, of a flawless future is what makes you light. And Jung, with his deep dive, said, the shadow is not to be vanquished but integrated. Anxiety is your shadow. Don't fight to kill it. Learn to dance with it. So, the truth is this, you are not trapped. The cage never had locks, only hinges waiting for a push. Think of Michelle Obama, who once said, I have fear every day, but I don't let it stop me. She turned nervousness into strength to lead, to speak, to be. Anxiety is not an invincible monster. It's raw energy, a river you can direct. Have you ever imagined where it could take you if you stopped rowing against it and started guiding the boat? This doesn't happen overnight. It's a path, a trail you forge day by day. Sometimes the weeds grow back, the fog returns, and that's okay. You already know how to cross it. Each deep breath, each hesitant yes, each trembling step is proof that the key is in your hand. And the best part? You're not alone in this. We're all explorers in this forest, lighting lanterns for each other. Final challenge. 7 days to fly. Let's end this journey with a bang. For 7 days, take everything we've seen and turn it into action. Day 1. Breathe for 5 minutes. Feel the air like a wave washing over the shore. And write down one thing anxiety has taught you. Day 2. Face a fear, big or small, and feel your body vibrate, like a bird flapping its wings for the first time. Day 3. Move, run, dance, walk under the sun. Listen to the sound of your steps. Day 4. Rewrite a fear of strength. I can't becomes I will find a way. Day 5. Connect with the now. Touch a tree, smell the coffee, see the day's colors. Day 6. Thank yourself out loud for each little step on this path. Day 7. Look back, feel the wind you created and decide, where will your wings take you now? Imagine you're climbing a mountain. With each day, the air gets lighter, the view clearer. If fear grips you or the path disappears, it's okay. Pause, shake your arms like you're dispersing a cloud, breathe, and keep going. At the end, let me know in the comments, which day made you fly the highest? What truth did you discover? Tag a friend to climb this mountain with you. Together, the top is closer. Anxiety is not the end. It's the beginning. Let's fly for real. We started by seeing how anxiety is an invisible prison. No bars, but hold you with fog and whispers, paralyzing body and mind like quicksand. Then, we unraveled the hidden mechanisms. It deceives you with fears disguised as caution, creating a web that shrinks your life. We identified the silent signs, the racing heart, the spinning thoughts, the energy that fades, those muffled cries from your mind and body asking for a breather, a chance to break free. Then, we explored paths to break the cycle. Breathing, questioning, taking small steps, caring for the body until the key of freedom turns in your hands. Finally, We transform anxiety into strength, a fire that, well guided, lights your path. And in the ultimate truth, we saw that you were never really trapped. The cage is made of smoke, and the step beyond takes you to the bridge of your own story. There were stories like Clara's, who felt her stomach churn until she found calm in breathing, or Lucas's, who ran with anxiety and made an ally. We mix science, the brain that adapts, philosophy, Lao Tzu, Buddha, Jung, and challenges that called you to move, feel, live. All to show, anxiety is not the boss. You are. Now tell me, which part of this journey resonated with you the most? Was it the day you breathed deeply and felt the weight lift, or the moment you face a fear and surprise yourself? What is anxiety showing you today that you haven't paused to see? Who in your life needs to hear this now? A friend, a family member, someone lost in the same fog? Share in the comments. What was the most present moment you experienced this week? It doesn't have to be perfect, just yours. A warm cup of coffee in hand, a trembling yes that escaped, a step that made you smile, and more. Tag a friend who needs to cross this bridge with you. The community grows when we light lanterns for each other. Let's illuminate this path together. Want to dive deeper into managing anxiety? I prepared a special ebook with practical strategies to turn fear into action. The link is in the first pinned comment. And don't stop here. Choose one of the 2 videos on the screen to continue this journey and discover new tools for a lighter, more authentic life. Let's do this together.